Hey, it's Michael Jamin. So today I want to talk to you about endings and the ending to your script or story, whatever you're working on. So before the pandemic, I remember going to a public reading, and the writer was a young guy, and he was very talented. And his piece went like this. It went laugh, 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 laugh. And then he got to a very real and grounded moment towards the end, very emotional. And then he finished it up with one more laugh. Boom, one more good joke. Bam, right? So in network television, we call that moment the treacle cutter. And it's very common in network television shows, especially sitcoms, where the treacle is something very sweet. And so you want to cut it with something that, let's take away the sentimental moment. Boom, put one more joke there. When I wound up I worked my first 10 years or so of my career, I was in network television. Then I went to cable and streaming. And in cable and streaming, the endings tend to be a lot more different. They tend to be a little darker and not always, but a little more sophisticated. And so we rarely did those treacle cutters. And what I learned from not doing that is you can actually have a much more powerful ending if you don't end on that last joke. Think about it. If you can take your characters, or you can take your listeners or readers on this journey, and you get them to a place where it's very emotional, and you just walk away, let them, whatever that difficult moment is, the uncomfortable moment, you just let it sit there, walk away. Because if you add one more joke to the end, it's like, see, you popped the bubble, and everything's going to be fine. But if you end it on that kind of real thing where it's uncomfortable, that's the last sensation that your reader or your audience is going to walk away from. And that's way more powerful than any joke. They're not going to remember the joke, but they will remember how they felt at the end of your piece. If it's a little uncomfortable, what's the character going to do now? We don't know. What's the reader supposed to do now? We don't know. So that's the kind of thing I think, if you're writing a pilot and you want that tone of your piece to be maybe a little darker or to be a little more real, don't undercut it with a joke. Jokes are cheap, man. No one remembers the joke. Now, there's an exception. If you're writing a spec of an existing show, follow the format of whatever the show is. If they end every episode on a laugh, do that. Don't think you're going to improve the show by changing it. Do what they do. But if this is an original piece of yours, you might want to consider that. Now, that's not to say that ending on that joke is terrible. Like, Cheers is one of my favorite shows of all time, probably one of the greatest sitcoms ever. And they used to always end on that laugh. But Cheers was this place you wanted to go. So this friendly, happy place. It's where everyone where you went to, so everyone knew your name. And so it was that kind of feeling. And so it makes sense to kind of burst that bubble. But in my own writing now, way more often than not, I like to end on something grounded and not do that, not go for that one last joke because it's a little cheap. And like I said, no one remembers the joke, but they will remember that feeling, that uncomfortable feeling that you leave them with. So that's my thought. Hope that helps.